Welcome back, everyone. This is Thomas Triple T Tie with another new bullish crypto analysis. Before we dig in and take a look at the macro news that may impact the crypto and also equities market, remember this is for edutainment only and not to be considered as financial advice. Additionally, I would appreciate it if you could help spread my easy to understand analysis to help others, especially newbies or people who don't do their own analysis. And you can do that by smashing the like, ringing my bell to get notified, and hitting subscribe if you haven't, and sharing your thoughts and questions in the comment section. So with that, let's get on to the news. All right, according to CNBC, they said stocks could see more tumult next week, especially if bond yields continue to scream higher. Let's just take a look at their key points. The April Consumer Price Index is coming in this week, and economists expect it to be slightly below March 8.5. I'm thinking it's gonna be north of 8.5. I'd be surprised that it'll be below 8.5, but it's we'll see. Rates will remain an important factor for the stock market, and strategists say the course of the benchmark 10-year yield could determine the stock market's next moves. If you saw my earlier video today, the U.S. 10-year yield, it's hanging. It dropped a little bit, but it was still hanging on the high side. But the reason it was dropping was because the rate was at a really good rate, and so people probably bought into it and drove the price up, and yield moves opposite of price, so the yield drops slightly. The bond market's calling the tune here. Well, I think the bond market has an influence, but I don't think it's the factor. And April is when CPI comes out. We'll see what happens then. According to Fortune, Bitcoin isn't an inflation hedge and hasn't been for a long time, according to Bank of America. Well, I know a lot of Bitcoin maxi like to think that Bitcoin is an inflation hedge, but so far it's proven to be more like a tech stock. And so this is nothing new, but potentially, in the long run it could be. But right now, or in the recent year or years, it hasn't been. And what a good time to test it, right? While inflation is high here. According to Asian Times, stock plunge could become dollar death spiral. And this article goes into a little bit about why they think that. I think so. Here's what they're doing here. Here's a graph that they share that, let me magnify this up for you. So the blue line is the S&P 500 price earning ratio, and you get the 5-year yield here for a real yield. And so they're just, what they're showing is the negative correlation, if you will, in this area, and they're using this as with data for 40 years. The result of this exercise, the worst inflation in 40 years. Oh, okay, we know that. And a collapse of labor productivity. Well, it's not. I'm not sure about collapse. I think it's. I think the labor market is hanging in there. It's hanging in pretty strong actually, and the Fed's rising interest rate, okay, that's there to help control inflation. and they think that that is a mistake. I think right now, so far, the dollar has been hanging in pretty strong. So I don't think so. I mean, like, stock plunge could become the dollar death spiral. So far, it hasn't, and I don't think that's the case. But feel free to check it out on Asian Times, and they use some other charts to prove their point. Now, I think the dollar is going to be holding pretty strong, at least in the near term. Let's see. This one is from Kitco. More price pressure on gold, silver amid spiking bond yields. Yeah, like we saw. If you saw my earlier video today, when like we got risk on assets tanking hard, and then we have also gold tanking hard, but the dollar is strong. So yeah, definitely, bond yields could be the cause of could put more pressure on gold and silver, because people would just, when the yield goes to a high enough point, some people might opt to buy the bonds instead of putting their money into gold or silver. Market handicappers see another 5% to 8% downside if key levels for the S&P 500 fails. And this is according to CNBC. I agree with this, and the reason I agree with this is because some of the elements in the macro environment have not been resolved. And so if we still have unknown macro variables, then if certain key support levels are broken, we're going to tank at least 5 to 8 more percent. So, yeah. According to Barron, MicroStrategy stock is crumbling as Bitcoin slides and rates rise. So basically, they're saying that those are the facts. MicroStrategy's MSTR is down 23% as of today to around $227 a share. The company is still one of the largest holders of Bitcoin. They're currently at 129,218 Bitcoins on their balance sheet at the end of March, or about $4.1 billion. And so it's an interesting experiment. I think I'm fascinated how it will turn out for MicroStrategy. Yeah, like when they're if they keep accumulating, right, especially down at this zone. But the question is, where are they going to get additional funding to buy more Bitcoin? So if they can find it and buy more Bitcoin and keep, especially around this range or even lower, the potential upside for them is huge. So it's one of those situations where it's just a brilliant move, or it's just going to be one of the dumbest moves in history. And I'm bullish on MicroStrategy and Michael Saylor. So that's I think it's pretty brave, and I think it's pretty cool. According to CNBC, pass the damn bill, according to President Biden, as he demands chip legislation to counter China tech rise. So what is this about? President Biden urged Congress to swiftly pass the Bipartisan Innovation Act, a multi-billion-dollar investment in the U.S. semiconductor industry. So I think it's a good move, but here's the challenge with the semiconductor industry. A lot of the manufacturing is done either in China or in Taiwan. If we can shift the chip manufacturing to, let's say, Taiwan, that'd be a better move. But with the tension between China and Taiwan, long-term wise, I think we need a backup plan as well. And you have major chip manufacturers in the U.S. like AMD, you got Intel, you got Nvidia. I mean, fantastic company. We should do more to support the chip manufacturing industry and also innovation. So I like this. It's so critical that we become become less dependent on China for our chip in manufacturing, etc. Because if they take over Taiwan for whatever reason, however that plays out, if they take over Taiwan, the majority of the chip manufacturing will have total control of the chip manufacturing. So, legendary investor Jeremy Grantham says we'll be in the 5th great bubble of the modern era, and warns the economy won't skate through a housing crisis. And this is according to Fortune. And the subtitle says 2000 showed you can just skate through the stock market event, and there he's referring to the dot-com bubble. But Japan and 2008 showed you can't skate through a housing crisis. I think we're facing pressure in the housing market. And there's, in my opinion, there's a potential for a housing bubble crash, but I'm not so sure that we're there yet. There's some macro variables that, if they all kind of like tank together, that could cause a domino effect. So in a way, I do agree with what Jeremy is saying here. And we got. Yeah, so let's see what he says. He's warning that the U.S. may be headed toward a housing crisis as mortgage rates soar, and the effects on the economy could be devastating. So far, his prediction about the S&P 500 has proved to be prescient, if a little dramatic, as the index is now down roughly 15% year to date. I think it's something to pay attention to. Definitely the housing market. But I'm not so sure about like a near-term housing market crash. It's important to take different perspectives in, and then integrate that with other analysis, and then come up with your own thoughts. According to ABC News, White House responds to abortion-related protests at homes of Supreme Court justices. By the way, even though Jen Psaki is leaving her role for to go back into the I think she's going to is it CNN or one of the mass news channels, but she's a fantastic press secretary. Kudos to her, and I wish her the best of luck. So the homes of Justice Brett Kavanaugh and I believe John Roberts, there were activists gathered around their homes on over the weekend and protesting. And hey, it's people have the right to protest. It's interesting about abortion because whether, I know it's a divisive issue, and people have their own perspectives and beliefs and moral values, etc. But statistically, it's about 69% of the U.S. favor Roe versus Wade staying in place. So if we have, 6 people in the Supreme Court, 6 majority, 6 justices deciding for the 70 or the 69%, that's gonna play out I'm not sure how that's gonna play out, because the will of the people says one thing, but you have a minority, a majority group of mostly men deciding for the rest of the U.S. It's interesting. U.S. announced sanctions against Kremlin-controlled media companies and bans Russia from using some American consulting services, according to CNN Politics. So more sanctions added. I'm not so sure how much impact this is going to have on Russia or deterring them from ending their criminal, evil invasions in Ukraine. But, go for it. Find ways to sanction them. I think the most effective one would be complete, total independence of Russian energy, including oil and natural gas, all across the world. That would have the most impact, in my opinion. But most of Europe is still dependent on them for gas, and at least for the rest of the year, for oil. Speaking of Russia, whoa, that's a lot of stuff. Elon Musk fears for his life after Russian threats. So basically, this article is about a Russian, one of their senior leaders. He used to be in charge of the space program. What is the heck is this guy's name? Let me look here. Dmitry Rogozin. The head of Russian space agency, Roscosmos. He mentioned that it's a threat. He tweeted that for Elon Musk's involvement with him sending Starlink satellites dishes to Ukraine and helping them. Basically, he said, and for this, you will have to answer in an adult way, Elon, no matter how you turn on the fool. So, back in 2014, Rogozin was a deputy prime minister for Russia. And if you didn't know, Putin and his goons have a tendency to poison people, assassinate, kill, put them in prison. Anything that you can come up with. It's like a villain from a James Bond movie. So yeah, I'm laughing because they are hysterically evil. But that's so Elon tweeted out that if he mysteriously die, that it's been nice known everybody. Also about Russia, Vladimir Putin's doomsday plane fails to make a Victory Day appearance, according to Daily Beast. And as some, if not most of you know, Russia had their Victory Day parade, and it's where they flex their muscle, like they do what communist type countries do. They have people marching and showing off their hardware, flexing, but Victory Day is basically the this looks so communist, like so communist. Something North Korea and China would do, but they were scheduled to have this plane, this doomsday plane, to flaunt, but it didn't appear, and they blamed it on the weather. So, anyways, they didn't have a lot to celebrate about because they're losing pretty bad in Ukraine, and we're past the 2-month period. And what do you? They'll make up some stuff to celebrate, a more not anti-Nazi stuff, but while they act more like Nazis. Anyways, blah blah blah. That country needs to just go bankrupt, completely bankrupt. I feel sorry for their people, but Along the line of Russia in Ukraine, and this just to make things a little lighter. This dog here, Patron, the bomb sniffing dog, cements his hero status with a presidential medal. Yay! Oh, look at him. Oh. Anyways, we're probably wondering, what does this have to do with the market, and how does it impact the market? It doesn't. I just needed something to lighten up my day, and I love dogs. According to Reuters, Shanghai says China's worst COVID outbreak under effective control. That's good. That's good. Shanghai said on Friday that it brought China's worst outbreak of COVID-19 under effective control following a month-long lockdown of nearly 25 million people, with authorities vowing to stand by their zero-COVID strategies despite mounting economic costs. Well, I'm glad they're making progress, and hopefully it'll stay that way for their city and their countries, because they, as the second largest world economy, does have a rippling effect on the rest of the world. So, yay for Shanghai. According to Ashish Jha, COVID cases rising in the Northeast, but important pattern is also emerging. This article is about, and this is from Boston.com, this article is about they're seeing significant increases in infection rates, but not for hospitalizations, and death rates are not where they're lower than where they expected to be. And so while we don't want anyone to get infected, at the same time, it's somewhat good news. It's the good news of the bad news. So death rates and hospitalizations are two key metrics that we want to keep an eye on. So that's somewhat good news, but somewhat bad news. According to CNN Business, you will soon be able to use Bitcoin to buy Gucci. Basically, I want to show you more adoption for Bitcoin and crypto, and Gucci. They're piloting a program to accept a handful of cryptocurrencies in various locations in the U.S. for now, including New York, Los Angeles, Miami, Atlanta, and Vegas. As you can see, they're major urban areas. And so they'll be accepting Bitcoin, Ethereum, GU, and a handful of stable coins, including GUSD, USDC, USDP, DAI, and BUSD. Notice that UST is not in here. That's interesting. The brand is also accepting payments for more niche cryptocurrencies like Dogecoin and Shiba Inu. So why would someone accept Dogecoin and Shiba Inu? Because they're popular, right? If you're a brand, you want to cater to the mass. And the mass they know Doge and they know sheep. So so that's cool. Utah governor approves of blockchain and digital innovation task force. So more states are exploring blockchain and cryptocurrency. So cool. More adoption. Cut and paste error destroys $36 million in crypto, eroding trust in blockchain. This is according to pymnts.com. Goodness gracious. Who would remember? I get it, payment. But still, who would remember that domain name? Basically, the story talked about how Andre de Michel cut and pasted the digital wallet, and they forgot to in the note they stated, but I didn't write the transaction hash is this. So they pasted a transaction hash into the note field, but that looked a lot like the address. So anyways, there may be a lawsuit coming out of this. So what am I trying to tell you? I'm sure most of us have at one time or another mixed up something. I know I have in copy and paste and messed up a transaction transferring crypto. So this is one of those situations. So always double check. Make sure you include all the details they ask you to include, etc., etc. So it could be very difficult to recover after the fact. Cardano founder says crypto is in a bear market. I've been hesitant, but yet wanted to share my thoughts on the bear market. I too have thought of announcing that we are the crypto market and also the equities market. They're in a bear market right now, and so I agree with Charles. You know, some of the coins I look at, they're all in the bear market, and if they haven't been, they are now, and so the trend looks like it's gonna be challenging. And I mean, like look at ADA, it's down in the 60 cents. Even in 2021, the lowest it got was what, roughly around roughly around $1. And so at least in May, June, July, August. But now it's down to into the 60 cents area. So how long do I think the bear market will last? Probably at minimum but through 2022 and more than likely into 2023 as well. I know there are crypto influencers who are calling for Bitcoin hitting 100K in 2022. I just don't see how that's happening. Maybe they know things I don't, but just from every angle and analyzing data daily, I just don't see that happening. But it could. Anything can happen, The war in Ukraine, the invasion in Ukraine could end, and all of a sudden, the market's bullish, the inflation, we get a hold of the inflation throughout the world, and everything's back to normal. But when you think about the macro environment and various countries around the world, to make that kind of move takes time. And I just, we are almost halfway through the year already. According to Blockworks, Argentina central bank bans crypto trading. What's interesting about this story, let me magnify it up for you and get rid of some of these pop-ups here. The central banks are now saying unregulated crypto trading is a risk to investors and the financial system. This comes from pressure from the IMF after a recent debt restructuring deal may have played a role in this decision. So, if you've been following different adoptions across the world in different countries, last week, Banco Galicia and digital bank Brubank SAU revealed they were offering digital assets trading services, including mainstream cryptocurrencies such as Bitcoin, Ether, and USDC stablecoin. So this happened just last week. Okay, they're major banks. So why the flip flop here with their central bank? Well, it's because IMF, I've made fun of them in the past because IMF gives loans out to different countries. Okay, IMF is based in the United States. They give out loans to various countries, especially developing and third world countries. So, and they are very much against crypto because crypto, Bitcoin, can pretty much make banking useless. Think about that. So you have this infrastructure that's been in place for a long, long time, and they pretty much have control over various aspects of the world economy, developing countries, pretty much holding developing countries hostage through their loan programs, etc. So, if they're making loans to these developing countries, these developing countries kind of have to do what they say, right? So it's a way of control, and crypto and Bitcoin puts all that at risk, puts banking at risk. Think about it. Banks, they need people's money, right? They take in money for basically at 0% interest. We literally give them money. It's like who else do you do that for in life? Like, trust them with your money. They pay you nothing in return, really, and they get to use your money, chop it up 7, 8, 10 different ways, and then make more money on that. Like, what? That's an amazing business. Think about it. If you have that kind of business, would you want to put that at risk? Of course not. You get literally free capital, and you get to make billions and trillions of dollars on top of that free capital. Oh my gosh! Of course you would want to protect it, right? And so, yeah, no surprise there. And according to Crypto Potato, over 100,000 Cubans are now using cryptocurrency. And as you know, let me magnify this up so you can read it if you want to. Cuba is heavily sanctioned by the U.S. And so crypto is a way for them to navigate through some of those sanctions. And I'm not saying that, and also help with inflation too. So it's Cuba is a communist country, if you didn't know that, and they are unable to internationally accept debit cards and credit cards due to American sanctions. PayPal, Revolut, and Zelle are all banned in the region. So if you're in an area where these financial platforms are not available, can be difficult to move money. And just think about it. You can move cryptocurrencies pretty fast, and so it just shows more adoption. When countries are facing sanctions or they're struggling with lacking in financial infrastructure, cryptocurrency is a fantastic way for them to move money. Over $800 million worth of Ethereum flows into exchanges as selling pressure mounts, according to Finbold. So when you have inflows of crypto coming into exchanges, that usually highlights a potential sell pressure. So they take it off, right, to put into cold storage, to store, and to wait. But when they move back onto the exchanges, they can more easily move it to sell it. So more than likely, these are to be sold. So that could put more pressure on the market. According to CNBC, stocks could see more. I think this is the beginning. We're back to the beginning. I think so. Let me double check so I don't miss anything. Yep, that's the beginning. So I appreciate your time. I hope that gives you an idea about the macro environments and different factors impacting equities and also the crypto market. And it's nice to see, even during these very difficult times for the crypto market, that we're seeing growing adoption for crypto, blockchain, and Bitcoin. So that's cool. All right. Please help spread my simple to understand analysis to help others as it helps you. So you can do that by smashing the like, ringing my bell to get notifications, subscribing, and also leaving comments in the comment section to share your thoughts and questions. Appreciate it. I have a few more analysis to make up for today, so I'll see you in those videos coming up. Peace.